it's like an arrow pointing right to her face, and then of course it's also like an arrow pointing straight up to the mother's face. So her composition is more like a vertical view. You know, we're taking a walk through the painting, but we're not walking with our feet, of course, we're walking with our eyes. But she doesn't stop there. Look at what she's done. Look at the shape of the arms. I'm going to outline the mother's arms. What shape am I drawing? Triangle. Now, triangles, of course, come to a point, and that point is like an arrow making your eye move up. And so what does it point to? The mother's face. We get to the mother's face, and she's done something to make sure your eyes move back down again. And what has she done? That's why I have these down arrows. Look at the stripes on her dress. They're all like, you know, whenever you have a straight line like that, it makes your eye follow it in the direction that it's pointed. And they're all facing the daughter, pointed to the daughter. So you're going to go back down to the daughter's face. Once you've had your fill up and down, vertical line of the mother and daughter, then your eye will leave and look at the background, look at the flowers in the vase, but definitely stay there. In the next painting, we're going to see a circular composition in a circle. It's called Breakfast in Bed. There's that warm, loving hug again, that hold, embrace. That mother, she's got sleepy eyes. She's probably thinking to herself, oh, I could have slept for a little bit longer. But she doesn't mind that her daughter has probably jumped into the bed, woken up her mother, let's have breakfast. So she's got a little biscuit in her hand, and, oh, let me ask you a question. Let's see how good you are at guessing. What do you think's in this cup? I don't think I've heard the answer. It's not coffee. If you go to France today, parents are drinking coffee, most of them, because it's very popular. It's not hot tea. They would have that later in the day. I just heard it, hot chocolate. That was the beverage in the morning at this time. Today, it might be children having the hot chocolate, but the parents are having the coffee. So that would have been hot chocolate. Let's take a walk through the painting. Have any of you ever heard of the famous child movie actress from the 1930s named Shirley Temple? Every time I see this painting, it reminds me of her. Boys and girls, if you've never seen a Shirley Temple movie, figure out a way to see one, you know, maybe pay-per-view, you know, you can download a video on your computer. Sometimes they have them, but you can check them out at the library. They probably have them at the public library. You can check out DVDs. She was the most successful movie actress of the 1930s. She made more money for her movie studios than any other actress. And she was only like 5 years old. She was an amazing little actress. She had curly hair and curly locks. That's why that little girl reminds me of Shirley Temple. So anyway, we see her. I'm going to start by looking at her with her rosy cheeks. She's got something in her hand. And then her arm is like an arrow pointing to the mother's loving embrace. Following our line of legs and arms and everything, we get to the little girl's feet. And look at where they're pointed. Right up to the mom. Yes, they're like an arrow pointing right to the mom's face. So our circle is complete right now. By the way, when you look at the sheets, you can definitely see the Impressionist brushstrokes, very visible. I have to say that when the Impressionists first started painting like this, it was shocking because people were not used to seeing brush marks like that of paint. But they got used to it after a little while. And of course now we look at that and don't think anything wrong is wrong. Well, Mary Cassatt became famous for her warm, loving family portraits. She did these over and over again. They're casual, unposed. Many of them have bright colors. They became very, very popular. And her paintings are still very popular today because of these warm, loving family portraits with a lot of overlapping, as you can see. I threw these in. I just had to share these with you. Sometimes she would do just portraits of children, and she must have really liked Margot because she did 3 different portraits of cute little Margot with her huge hats. That was the fashion. So even though we look at those today and think, my gosh, how could she wear those big things? They were bigger than she was, but that was the fashion. She was probably very used to it. Okay, now we're going to look at a couple of paintings of Lydia, her sister, the one that moved to Paris with her. This is Lydia sitting down having a cup of what? Hot tea. Not coffee. The French were not coffee drinkers yet. They were still drinking a lot of hot tea, as they still do today. But now they have both choices of beverage. In the afternoon, the custom was, here in the United States, in England, and Paris, and many of the big cities of the modern world, women who came from wealthy backgrounds would get all dressed up in the afternoon, and they would go calling on their friends. You didn't stay for very long. They were just short social visits, and you were always offered hot tea in very fancy porcelain cups. So there is Lydia having her hot tea. Is she in the room by herself? No, you're absolutely right. Even though we only see Lydia in the painting, if you look at her eyes, she clearly is looking at someone across the room. But Mary doesn't stop there. She has created her composition to give you an open frame look. A picture frame, I don't think I need to tell you what that is. I've got one here up on the screen. How many sides does it have? Four, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's look at her imaginary picture frame within a painting in the picture of Lydia having a cup of tea. Here's the top of the frame, which is the planter. The chair is the back of the frame. The arm is the bottom of the frame. But right here, is there anything there? No. She deliberately left it empty. Had she put furniture there, then it would have made it look like Lydia was in the room by herself. But she left it open on that side. There was no fourth side of the frame to give you the feeling that she was looking across the room at other people. We're going to see another painting of Lydia, but first I want to show you a couple of things about what you're going to see. Do any of you in this room, and I expect to see a lot of hands because I've been getting them all day long, have family members who knit or crochet? No surprise. Look at all those hands up. I'm glad to see that the timeless needlework practice of knitting and crocheting is still going on. Boys and girls, some of you may even learn how to knit and crochet yourself. Okay. Let me tell you the difference between the two. Very simple. Knitting uses 2 long needles, and crocheting uses 1 long needle. Now, in the next painting of Lydia, you're going to see her crocheting. You're going to see the 1 long needle. And she also called it Lydia crocheting in the garden, so you know that she's definitely crocheting. Now, let me show you a photo of where she was when she was painted by her sister Mary. She was in Mary's country estate. Yes, Mary bought this house. She was so proud of herself. She didn't need to use family money to buy this big fancy country home. People of wealth would have an apartment in the city, and many of them had big country estates with lots of land. She would have had stables and horses and all that. Mary was so proud of herself because she was able to buy this fancy home with her own money because she had sold so much art. She was very proud of herself that she was actually able to support herself. Lydia was sitting right here in the garden. In the painting, you're going to see the hedge, the bushes, the row of bushes, and you're going to see a few windows at the back of the house. So keep that in mind when you see the